Hi, Annie. Thank you very much for joining us today. Are you feeling well?
I'm good, thank you, Stacey. Lovely to be back with you.
So you've just come back from Scotland,
Yeah.
have you been doing the painting again in Scotland?
Well, I should have been.
However,
Being as how my life is sort of managed for me. Actually, this trip I didn't even get to the studio.
oh,
Uh, Various things just got in the way, and the one day I was absolutely determined to get in, the whole town had a water burst.
did
So
it?
I thought, well, I can't go in because I can't flush the loos.
Oh, where is it in Scotland you go?
I have a studio in Kirkcudbright. It's part of the old library studios units. Mine's called the Astral Art Studio, and I try and get up there week on, week off kind of thing. But actually, it made perfect sense with the full moon that we'd had, Mercury retrograde, Venus, which is my ruling planet, retrograde, eclipse, new moon, you name it, the energy was all over the place. So, although I did do a lot of my knitting, I'm knitting and making jumpers that are artwork, one off special jumpers called Hug Annies.
Oh,
So
that's
I'm
I love
busy
that.
making
Organic.
those. It's gone on from my cushions and my little scarves into jumpers now. But so yeah, it's been really interesting, and I don't know if you felt the big energy download in the middle of last night, round
Massive.
two-ish. Absolutely blowing my socks off. I usually feel the downloads particularly through my legs because I know it's going into Mother Earth, and my legs were. I woke up and I kind of went, oh, hang on a minute. It was huge.
Yeah,
So,
it's odd because the night before and last night I have struggled to sleep
yeah,
so bad and then
yeah,
itching, like my
yeah.
hips. I said to my son
Mm.
today, I said, my hips are itching, like my skin is itching at my hips. I don't know what on earth that's about.
Parents, mother and father.
Oh,
And of course, as I said to you, this is my mum's birthday today, and
yes.
she's
Happy
one of
birthday. What were her name?
Ellen, Ellen
Happy
Patricia,
birthday, Ellen.
one of my main guides. And so when I was sort of getting this download, I'm like, Mother, it's your birthday, I know, but please.
Sorry, out, mother. Come on, let's have you.
So it's been a very, very eventful new moon.
Yeah.
But we've had a week, I mean, we've had a fortnight since the full moon. We've had a fortnight of deep dreaming, lots of
Yes.
clearing. Probably not clearing your own stuff, but clearing other people's stuff with you.
Mm, yeah.
Um, Moving stuff on. It's prep. So we've stepped into the new zodiac year, and it's come on, get going, get
Yeah.
organised.
I must admit though, business wise, I've gone into this like right, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing other, I've got this going, I know what I'm doing, I've got this, I've got my pen, my papers out, my planners out, it's all going on. And
Yeah,
I feel like that's just started over the last couple of weeks. I've had a
yeah,
time of feeling a bit not down in my mood, but more like my body's tired and I'm like, oh, like that.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, hello, we're ready again.
Well, we're on the chariot year, the year of
Yeah,
moving forward.
yeah.
So we've finally what's been happening this last 2 or 3 weeks is coming out of last year's energy, finally sending that away, and that was Tower, that was
Mm,
destruction, pulling it all apart. Now we have to put it back together again, so we need that chariot energy, and what it's kind of demanding of us is focus. Focus on the things that are your passion. Just get that focus. Me personally, I've kind of got two horses on my chariot. I've got my writing and my art. And how
mm.
do I make things happen around those passions. So you might also find that where business or personal life's concerned, there's certain things that are like, right, I need to do, that's where I'm going, that's
Yeah.
the push. And that energy is starting to kick in now.
Perfect. That makes
Build
sense.
and build. So it's a wonderful time this next between because of course we've had spring equinox, between now and summer solstice. It's a really good time for pulling those plans together. We did
Okay.
need to rest and recuperate, but if you look on a global level, if you look at what the Earth's doing, earthquakes and volcanoes, the volcano in Iceland's
Yeah.
erupted again. If you look at the Earth, she's doing mega shifts and releases to get us to kind of go, oh, we've got to do better.
Yes.
On a global level with people are sort of saying, no, wait a minute, this isn't in my name. I'm not having that. And we're starting to focus on what we impose on the people who are more vulnerable, how we don't maybe have the compassion. So there's a big shift in attitude. And of course, it's all because we're in the second ray of divine feminine.
Yeah.
We're on sacral chakra work. So who am I? And this is
Yeah.
where the passions come in, following your passion. So you go for it, Stacey, because if it's your passion, it's all going to
That's
happen.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. I,
Sorry,
I, I know this sounds odd, but I know in some things, I've got things in my mind that I already know are going to happen. I know that they are. I almost feel like I've
yeah,
seen it somewhere, like it's happening. Does that make sense? Although it hasn't even happened yet.
absolutely. Because of course we can read the energy going forward.
Yeah.
You know, we're not just able to look at the past. We,
No.
as energy beings, intuitive energy beings, we can read the energy coming in.
Mm.
And that's often, what I'm doing, and the messages the guides bring are sort of saying, oh, watch out for that energy and this energy and use that energy. And if we look at it that way, nothing is a surprise, nothing
No.
is a shock, because we kind of knew it anyway. And the other naughty little thing that our spirit within does, because it gets a bit bored when we're asleep, oh,
Yeah.
we're wasting all that time.
That's it.
Spirit then just goes, I'll have a little plodder
I'm
along.
up and off. Yeah.
And then when we hit that experience that we've already been and looked at, it's deja vu.
Deja vu, you see.
You
Yeah.
go, this seems familiar. Well, it
Been
is
here
because you
before. I'm sure I have. Yeah.
absolutely been and had a little peep.
Yeah.
The conscious mind doesn't like that, of course, because it's
No.
linear. The ego tries to keep us in time, in a sequence of time. Spirits go, oh, I'm not bothering with that.
No.
Um, and I think sometimes people aren't as aware of that, but they sort of say, oh yeah, I've got this feeling. But of course, we already know. And so it's like, if anything, follow the feeling.
Yes.
The feeling,
I'm on
absolutely.
it. I'm on the feeling. I'm going. I've got the
Good,
feeling. I'm going.
good.
So have you finished your new book now? Is your book now finished?
Now being proofed for the last time,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping to have in my hands a printed copy to proof in a couple of weeks.
Fabulous.
And I was going to publish it. I thought I was going to publish it today on my mum's birthday, but
Yeah.
apparently not.
Okay.
It's my daughter's birthday next month, so it
Right.
looks more like it's going to end up being published on her birthday. I published my first one on my birthday, so
Ah.
feeling it's going to be on her birthday on the 14th of May.
Ah. That'd be nice.
So just having, there's a lovely person just reading it all through, making sure I've got it all typed up and sorted as it should be. And then, yeah, proof copy.
Do you self-publish yours? Do you?
Yes, I do. I I have had a debate when I published my first book. I had a bit of a debate what was going to be the best way to go, and there are pros and cons with everything.
Yeah.
Finding a publisher. that's a bit hard. Getting kind of enough buy-in from a publisher, then you may have to have an agent, then you may have to sign with your rights or your royalties. And there's no dispute that they can put it out into the world, into lots of bookstores and things, absolutely. But I was working on a budget. I'm still working on a budget. And so what I wanted to do was get it out there. As it's turned out, it's come into profit, that book, well into profit. So that was really nice.
Yeah.
But I was very sensible. I worked out how many I needed to sell so that I would be in profit. Are you with me?
Yeah.
And kept track of my sales. And now what I've got the second one good to go. So I'm going to use the same. I use lulu.com. And what they do is they put it in Amazon and they put it in Barnes and Noble in America. So it gets the listing so people can buy it from Amazon or Barnes and Noble.
So have you sold them in America?
Yes. Yeah.
Fabulous.
And Australia.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. Yeah. Makes it a bit more complicated tax-wise. So I didn't want... I haven't sold loads in those countries.
No.
But yeah.
You see, it's harder than what you're thinking. It's not about just selling a book, is it? There's, like you say, with tax and all the rest of it, you've got to think about all these things, haven't you, before you just like thinking, I'll put a book together.
Yeah, and the taxation for Lulu is an American taxation system. So you have to kind of declare that you've paid tax in a foreign country. So it's all a bit, it is easier than it sounds. But if you go to a publisher, obviously they take care of all of that.
Yes.
For a slice of your pie.
But I want to say, but then there's a cost to it, and then is it worth it? Yeah.
So I've paid for my book to be edited.
Yeah.
I have a lovely lady who's called Lynn Picknett, and with Clive Price, she wrote the book that the Da Vinci Code is based on. She's done books about Mary Magdalene. She's done books about women in the Christian church, the ancient Christian church. They've done books about Leonardo da Vinci. Well, she operates an editing and publishing little company herself. So I asked her if she would edit it for me, which she's very kindly done. So obviously that's a cost.
Yeah.
But it's worth having somebody outside read what you write.
Yeah.
And what's been really interesting is with both editors I've used, I've had two different editors, they've come back with questions.
I like that.
And that isn't about, I think you're wrong with that, or, you know, it's questions leading on from what I've said. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I like that. That's good.
Something in it that even if you're not in my sphere of expertise, there's something in it.
Yes.
I've written it because I want people to have the nuts and bolts of intuition and mediumship.
Yeah.
I want them to understand it, you know, at a common sense level, if you like. Although there's no such thing as common sense.
No.
It's no good me talking up here. It's got to be...
That's it. It's got to be on everybody's wavelength, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I always take my lead. My brother is a programmer.
Yeah.
And I once asked him to help me with something on the computer. Love him to bits. Mark is so helpful. But he was trying to talk it to my level. But he didn't realise it was still about 16 levels above where I was.
The only thing in it.
Yeah.
I don't understand the technology. I have a Jodie, my friend, she'll set me, Stacey, press CTRL and F2 and press P, and I'm like, just talk to me in English, will you? I don't understand what you're telling me.
Absolutely.
Just talk to me normally.
And that sort of was a lesson for me when I'm trying to tell people about what I've experienced and what I've learned and how it works. You can't be up there with the esoteric stuff, you've got to be down here.
You've got to be with the norms, haven't you?
Yeah. How do I do it?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah.
So last time we spoke, in brief, well, we didn't actually get into the conversation of twin flames. However, this question comes round to me quite a lot. Now,
Yeah.
I just want to get your view on it, because as I understand it, what, sorry?
Had a lovely little live just
Did we? Oh,
yeah.
that'll be your mother, that.
Yeah, probably.
So as I understand twin flames,
Mm.
I feel like people get confused with twin flames and soulmates. And then there's soul family. There's so many different things. And I feel like a lot of people think a lot of it is about romantic relationships. Well, for me, that's not always the case. I understand a twin flame is actually a version of ourselves. So that because we are running in multiple timelines, timelines, because we are running different lives, I feel that sometimes we meet our other selves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how I understand a twin flame. Now, I also understand that when we meet that other person, so I could meet, let's say, Barry from Halifax, that's an accountant, and he could be another version of myself. Um, and I would understand that, really, not that we're not supposed to meet, but the chances of us meeting would be quite slim, or wouldn't necessarily be, I don't want to say it's not the right thing to meet, but I feel like it could be quite an odd relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you want me to sort of give you the perspective the guides
Yes.
gave me? Okay.
Yes, please.
And maybe a little bit of clarity around soul groups and
Yes.
things like that. Because I think people sort of say spirit and then they say soul, and they're not quite sure what they mean by either word.
Yes.
So I talk about the spirit within, because that's the spark that's coming to get this body moving and thinking and experiencing. And that spirit within is a tiny little sliver of a soul consciousness.
Yeah.
Okay. So a soul, if you like, for me, is all the big brain. The spirit is the brain cell.
Okay.
Okay. Now, of course, it's a big soul consciousness. It would be very boring if only one little brain cell was firing. Just think about all the neurons that are going off in your head at the minute. You know, we're thinking about what's the dog doing, we're thinking about what's for tea, we're thinking about, oh, I need to solve that problem, and oh, the garden, and you know, they're all firing away, and we are feeling, so we're feeding information in. Our skin saying, oh, that jumper's prickly, or we're sort of, there's a central clearinghouse in the brain that's dealing with all of the neurological activity and bringing certain things to our attention. So if we accept, or if we envision a soul consciousness, that's what it's doing. So one little spark isn't enough.
No.
It's not enough input. Are you with me? So it makes sense that there's lots of spirit within neurons from that soul consciousness.
Yeah.
I always got shown by my guides, it's like having fingers on one hand or even two hands. Okay, so what that consciousness has done, that soul conscious, is stuck its fingers in 10 pies.
Fine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's sent in 10 with spirit withins to have experiences. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, some of them are going to be on the same timeline and the same dimension, others aren't, because this soul consciousness isn't restricted in space and time like we are. This is the space and time that the individual spirit within lives in, but all the rest could be anywhere, anywhen, any dimension. And the soul consciousness is processing all this experience. And this is where we start to recognize twin flame. And I do encourage people to step back from the idea that it's romantic. It can be passionate, it can be overwhelming, it can be, oh, look at you. Because what we're recognizing in is we're the same fingers on the hand.
That's it, with the part of the same.
We're meeting ourselves.
Yeah.
So twin flames can have an enormous amount in common, but they can have some very key differences.
Mm.
And that can be hard to handle when you're looking at someone and going, you're the other half of me. Hang on a minute, you do things I don't like doing.
Yeah.
you act in ways I don't like acting. So it can be, for the spirit within, a bit confusing, because after all, aren't we all the same soul consciousness?
Yeah.
But it depends on the path each spirit within has chosen
It's
to
chosen to
follow.
take. Yeah.
Absolutely. So twin flame is a powerful relationship, but we've got to be careful not to muddle it and confuse their path with our path. And so very often we don't meet a twin flame because it would be too confusing.
Mm.
We wouldn't maybe achieve what we need to achieve. However, sometimes if we're getting off track, we get a twin flame in. Or we decide there's a bit of the journey that would go better with two of us. Okay. So we get the twin flame in at that point. But that twin flame can be your next door neighbour, it can be your dog, it can be your horse, it can be your child, it can be your father, it can be a friend, it can be anywhere. That recognition, you're my other half. What's even more interesting is sometimes, on very rare occasions, you get three together.
Oh.
So you've got
Meta.
this huge, yeah. And I think this is where people, they kind of, oh, twin flame, oh, twin flame, oh, twin flame, you know, and it gets complex, which is why it doesn't happen very often, because the whole purpose of being the spirit within is to kind of walk your journey on your own, away from that soul consciousness, with only a dim memory of being part of a consciousness. Okay. So that's one thing for people to recognize. What I also want to offer, if this is okay, is about soulmates.
Yes.
Because more often than not, you're meeting a soulmate, not a twin flame.
Yeah.
Soulmates. But again, it's not romantic. So if we say that there's a soul consciousness floating around up there, yeah, somewhere in the energy, it'd be boring and it'd be a bit sad if it was all on its own. So it isn't, because there's lots of conscious beings, soul beings, wandering around.
Yeah.
But they come together as soul groups. And these are the consciousnesses that have decided, oh, yeah, we can work together. If you think about the number of neurons that you have in your brain to deal with your eyesight, but those neurons don't deal with your hearing.
No.
They just deal with your eyesight. So we've got different groups dealing with different aspects. Just as a little aside, but not to go too deep in, for me, overarching all that is the divine consciousness, the skull of the total brain, if you like, if we take the brain analogy. We've got different areas of the brain, which are the soul groups, the soul consciousnesses that group together to work on various aspects. So when we talk about soul groups, we've agreed we're working together. So when you meet a soul mate, that is someone from your soul group, but it's not necessarily the consciousness you belong to, but there's
No.
a familiarity, there's a knowing, a connection, because actually that consciousness is in the same soul group. So with soulmates, there are a lot of shared purpose. There's a lot of understanding, like we're here to do this or we're here to achieve that. And it's a little bit, for me, this experience being here is about the absence of love.
Okay.
Soulmates and twin flames come in to remind us love is there.
Yeah.
Twin flames, it's about self-love. Soulmates, it's about love from others.
Okay.
And to others. So soulmate relationships can be intense because they're all about this love. We've got to be careful not to be so needy that we mistake the love for romantic love.
Romance, yeah.
Or the love that fills a hole, a gap in us. We're supposed to have that gap. We're supposed to be working on that gap. We're supposed to be looking at self-love. And soulmates remind us, wait a minute, where's your self-love?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people cling on to soulmate relationships past the time they should release them because it's a source of love. Or, and this is a difficulty with soulmates, it can be a reinforcement of the absence of love. We're soulmates, but he's married to someone else.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute, there's a whole load of questions to unpack there about love. What is this person showing you? What have they come in and incarnated with you to help you with on your journey?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. It's the thing is, I often wonder, like with couples that, like not everybody, but some couples that you speak to, and I've had friends that'll say it quite openly, like, oh, I was with him and we got on so well for a little while, and then it goes really volatile, but then we've split up and we get back together again, and it's like they can't leave each other alone. And it's like, well, one of you is going to have to see here that this is not how it should be. You're going to have to. So, would you say that we're like a twin flame, or would that be a soulmate gone wrong? Not gone wrong, but gone more down the romantic side than the
Yeah.
love
I
side?
would say volatile pairings are more soulmate than twin flame.
Okay.
Twin flame are much more matched because the
Okay.
fingers. That doesn't mean that those are romantic
No.
relationships, and it doesn't mean that they're relationships that are going to continue. Twin flames are asking us to look in the mirror, really, and say, what do I need? What do I have? What do I do? And so in some respects, twin flames, whilst they're intense, aren't necessarily happy ever after, love and romance,
No.
etc.
No.
Okay. And it's noticing the differences between us. It's like right finger, left finger. What's the difference? Yeah. We're from the same being, but what's the difference? And that, I feel, is the kind of lesson of twin flame. Now, some twin flame is romantic, not dismissing that, but I also want people to think about past life energies and karmic energies, because sometimes we work it out through a romantic or intimate relationship rather than not. And again, for me, where past life comes in with twin flame, what you usually balance in is that recognition of, I can have a right finger and a left finger. They don't have to be exactly matching. Yeah, but they belong together in some way. Yeah. When we come to look at soulmates, this is where we get our challenge, because they are not from the same soul consciousness. So they're not bound to act and think and feel like a twin flame would. A twin flame would understand and say, I'm really sorry, I have to break this relationship. It's going to hurt me and it's going to hurt you, because we feel so strongly that it's a bond, but we need to be separate. Soulmates, it's drama, because not only are you factoring in any past life karma, remember these people have incarnated, the spirits within have incarnated to help us with our journey and to help us through overcoming the absence of love. But soulmates are filtered through the personality we chose. We chose that personality to balance certain karmic patterns between us, and we also chose to have options. And we can look at soulmate relationships and see how they can quite easily become toxic, because we're acting on past life patterns that have replicated, or we're acting on misunderstanding, or we're acting from a place where we don't love ourselves. And usually soulmate stuff goes wrong because we don't love ourselves.
It's the inner self. We're looking inwards, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Remember the lesson, absence of love. And one of the things that's key in a soulmate relationship is reminding yourself there are boundaries. There are boundaries. And I've had a soulmate relationship in this life. And what I had to say at the end of that relationship was, not this time round, maybe next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't going to work, because it was actually part of a relationship pattern that I was dealing with, which was past life energies.
Okay.
Yeah. But that person themselves had an absence of self-love. If you look at soulmates, you often find that there's some absence in each person that they think the other person's going to fill. They're filling the gap.
Yeah.
And not realizing nobody fills the gap. You have to fill the gap.
You fill your own gap. Yeah.
So sometimes what we have to do is say, right, this is a soulmate relationship. It isn't going to work because the gaps aren't being filled.
Yeah.
Neither of us are filling these gaps.
Yeah.
They're not filling the gap, but I am. I'm going to love myself enough not to go into this cycle.
I'm not going in that. I'm moving on. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, we go back to our soul group and we all sit around and we chat and laugh and say, oh, wasn't that funny when? Maybe it's not that funny when we're in it here.
No.
But if we can remember, love's never lost, which is why I was able, when my relationship, the other person didn't seem to be able to love themselves enough, which was why I was able to say, not meant this life, maybe next time round.
Yeah.
Yeah. It released me from a karmic connection.
Yeah.
Sure, when we get back, we'll have a good chat why they couldn't bring their own self-love in and had to experience that journey of absence of love. But it's very important with soulmates to remember you cannot fill that gap for the other person.
No, you have to do. It's that when people say, you do you and I'll do me. That's what you have to do, don't you? You have to know that you're on your journey and the other person is on theirs. We've all got our own journey to have.
Absolutely. And if we think about the reality is that nearly everybody in our life that we've ever met has come from our soul group.
Yes.
You know the ones that come from different soul groups because you go, ooh, who's this? Or at least your intuition does. Ooh.
Yeah.
But if you think about energy, if you think about what we know intuitively, virtually everybody every single person who's crossed your path is from that soul group.
You see, I know that I've been in the same soul group as my twins multiple times. I know I've been in there multiple times. And Spirit have shown me when I go to my when I do my past lives, when I look at my own,
Yeah.
the boys are always there in one form or another. I say boys, the boys now, but their soul has always been with well, I say always been with mine. We've always been in you know, in a group together where we've worked with each other. And I find it, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is this time. But when when I've come back again and the boys have come back again, we're all Capricorns this time. And I feel that has something to do with it. I don't know what yet.
You'll be tying up the loose ends.
Okay.
Now, that we are in the time of ascension.
Yeah.
We've got to shift this lovely planetary consciousness and the human being consciousness, the collective consciousness. We've got to shift it to the next level. So lots of people have come in, lots of spirit within have come back in to tie off the loose ends.
Okay.
Okay. We need to complete this pattern, this lesson. It's a bit like going from junior school to high school. Yeah, we're on that ending, if you like. Now, that ending may take us quite a while, but, well, my guides say 500 years, but, you know, we're on that ending. This dimension was purposed to experience the absence of love. That's its purpose. This reality. There are other dimensions, and I'm sure you've been to them, where that isn't the lesson. There's a different lesson going on. That ends when we learn to love ourselves and end all the patterns that are about absence of love and get into the patterns which are connection, oneness. This is why there's so much talk about oneness and the divine and us all being one. And, you know, I always put it in energy terms. We're floating in an energy ocean. None of us can get out of this ocean. But if we make a call, sorry, one of my guides has just said what I usually say, if you wee in the swimming pool, everybody gets it. Okay? Everybody.
Hey.
So if we start to be aware of our intuitive energy, if we start to be aware of what we're experiencing, we've got opportunities to change the patterns. Now, it doesn't mean you won't come back again.
No.
But we're being asked to put a period to the lack of love energies that we've experienced in our human lives. So that the next time we might be popped in here, we can be beacons of love and self-love. And this is where the divine feminine comes in, because obviously we're out of balance. And that nurturing energy's got lost. And by nurturing, I also mean tough love. We sometimes have to have tough love.
Yeah.
And so if you think about everybody who's incarnate at the moment, we're shifting the balance. So when you come back in from your soul group, you're shifting the balance. Another way to think of it is that all three of you might be eye neurons from the same soul group, same soul consciousness.
Yeah, okay.
See clearly.
Okay.
Okay. Or it could be ear neurons, here to hear clearly.
Yeah.
And there's that unity. I teach about conscious unity, the choice to put our energies together and blend. And in order for us to ascend, we are eventually all going to have to blend, and we're going to have to love ourselves enough to volunteer to blend. So it's all kind of connected with that. And you will have come in under the auspices of a star sign that represents those past life journeys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How interesting.
The qualities you want in that personality. I'm a big, I do astrology, and I'm a big believer in astrology as a way to categorize the human race. It is, but what it also does is helps us to understand the combined personality, because we don't just come in with one sort of personality trait.
No.
We've got all these wonderful combinations, and it depends when you look at them. When you've popped in, what's going on in the heavens tells you where your bit of the puzzle is.
Yeah.
I'm getting the image of Rubik's Cube. Yeah, so you might be a band of yellow, there might be a band of red and a band of blue, and you've got all three trying to get in alignment. Yeah.
That's interesting, actually. When I think about the characteristics of myself, and then each boy, then actually that makes a lot of sense. We've all got some very similar traits, but we've all then got parts of us that are very different.
Yeah.
So that would make complete sense.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love that. So when we right, hang on then, let me go this way then. So I know that you are very much you work with angels very closely.
Yeah.
So do you think, I don't know why I have this about you, but it's always in my mind. Do you think that you originally came from the angelic realm?
Absolutely.
Yes, fabulous.
That's why my first book, or what I called myself, was the down to earth medium.
Okay.
And the question is, did I fall or was I pushed?
Ah, right.
There's a little bit of a secret dig at my guides in that title. My first book was Down to Earth, My Intuitive World. And what's really interesting is they won't give me the title of the second book. That's the only thing that's missing, is the title. And I'm just waiting on them telling me. And maybe it should be, did I fall or was I pushed? Because absolutely. What we have to think about is, beyond these soul consciousnesses is the next question. Well, where do they come from?
Yeah.
Is there an overarching divine? When do, let's go up the ladder and see what's up there. And what is clear in whether you want to call it fantasy, but in biblical texts and in our oral stories, there's always a someone else or a something else. And the argument is that we're made up of something else, so we've got someone to blame. I don't see it that way. That argument seems a bit circular to me. Why would we psychologically? And I've studied psychology. Why would we, do that? Anyway, for me, there's a kind of levels. I won't call it a hierarchy. It's called a hierarchy in the Bible, but I don't really go with that. But we've got a divine, an overarching source of energy, a consciousness, a vast consciousness. And that consciousness is powered by love. That consciousness is the source of all this positive energy flow. I suppose you could think of it as the sun. Some people call that divine the great central sun. You could say, that there's a radiance coming out from that central being and that underneath are layers of beings basking in the sun, and that filters down, and we get to the angelic realm, which is sort of at the bottom. But what's really interesting about that is that the angelic realm is delivering on a divine plan.
Okay.
I don't think a divine plan is about I'm ruling you, I'm going to smite you, or whatever. What it always seems to me to be about is expansion, growing the mind.
Growing, yeah.
Yeah. Enhancing it, making it bigger, bringing more into that radiance. And for me, as far as my guides and my angelic guides are concerned, this reality is a place to grow love. This reality is also, especially for the earth, we humans, because of our duality, have a very specific healing vibration. When it's switched on and powered up, that duality love is phenomenal. So when this dimension was constructed, it needed incarnate beings. And so they sort of came in. They tried with the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs are actually the dragon dimension.
Yes. Yeah.
The dragon dimension sent some occupants in, but it didn't quite work. And so they thought, right, we'll try something else. So they sent us in, but us being incarnate angels to help grow something quite radical. Human beings were the beings in the petri dish, yeah, if you like.
Yeah.
Designed to develop this duality. I mean, I just find it so fascinating. There's not just Homo sapien. There's so many different types of human being, and some have worked, some haven't, and we've got in our maternal mitochondrial DNA, we've got various bits and pieces from everywhere, and we've got DNA that's not even switched on. So there's all this stuff. For me, it's about the angels wanting to grow that divine mind. And the ascension that we're on is actually to get back to being in the angelic realm.
Okay.
If we can move this universe of beings, and there are all types of beings, not just human beings, if we can move this universe into the angelic realm, just think how big it, that expansion.
That's it.
Yeah, it's just we're holding it back at the minute. So the angels are putting loads of kind of energies. More angels are incarnating. You've got some who are coming round, for the gazillionth time, and some who are brand new. But this whole idea of trying to bring us forward. Now, I have to say, angels aren't the only beings who are incarnating.
No.
I'm a bit old and crusty. I've been around the block way too many times.
I don't know if you should be describing yourself like that.
But we have got a resurgence of other dimensional beings and non-physical beings from this universe incarnating as well. So there's a lot of effort, because if we can tip our planet into loving vibration and radiating loving vibration, we fix a massive issue about this universe. And that ascension, for me, I talk about the greater good, but the ascension is for the greater good of the universe. We're not switched on to that yet. And I know sometimes my guides kind of give me a little nudge and say it's a need to know. They don't need to know yet because they're not at that level.
No.
But we've got to start recognizing there is a bigger picture. And the more we can connect in with the angelic realm, the more we can recognize what I call our essence. It's like our originating DNA. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've all got an essence, every single one of us. And if we can recognize our originating DNA, then we can start to plug back into that wisdom and plug back into that vibration, because it's not gone, it's still inside
No.
us. And this is where you get the discussions about activating the 12 strands of DNA, the 12 strands of the angelic realm. But we're not there yet.
Aha. Right. Okay.
Okay? People talk about how do we, we're going to activate these 12 strands, we're going to get light bodies, etc. What you're really talking about is we're going to be angels,
Yeah.
but we're not ready to
We're not ready
activate.
yet. We're not. I don't think we're nowhere near ready yet. I feel like
No.
we're just at the drawing table at the minute. It's just an idea, isn't it, just for now?
Yeah, absolutely. And they've sent a lot of energy beings in to help us. That's our lovely crystals.
Yes.
They're little batteries of love, and they're saying, why are you doing this to yourselves? And
Yeah.
again, they're old souls because they're Atlanteans. But remember, a lot of the Atlanteans came direct from the angelic realm.
From the angelic realm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So earlier on, when I said to you, do you believe? Well, I believe you do, and you said yeah that you came from the angelic realm to start with. I'll tell you why it sent me there. Because I always feel with you, like, I feel like you'll go back there. When it's your time to pass back, I feel like you'll go back there. Because I feel like that's where you will be actually at home. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I wanted to know, like, when you said we have twin flames and, and the soulmates and what have you, do you believe that you have met part of yours from the angelic realm within this life?
I haven't met a twin flame
No.
at all.
Okay, fine.
I mustn't have needed it.
No.
Doing okay.
Yeah.
No, I haven't met a twin flame. I have met soulmates. Um, Interesting, because again, we go back to this idea of the soul consciousness.
Mm,
It is, if you like, the level below the angelic realm.
yeah.
It's very close. So we can meet soulmates who call out that angelic in us, or
Yes.
call out that star being in us, or call
Yeah.
out that mental in us. Or the dragon in us. We can, we can meet soulmates whose essence we recognize. Because the other issue is that we've served everywhere,
Yeah.
everywhere. We're in this little universe trying to get it to belong to the angelic
Yeah.
realm, but we've worked in thousands of other universes getting them to belong to the angelic realm, to grow that divine mind, to expand. So sometimes, and this is again where it can throw you a little bit, you connect with a soulmate who's not being, someone in this dimension
Yeah.
particularly. They're in the soul group, but they're from the work you did in a different dimension.
Yeah.
I remember a long time ago, I went to Spain to see a particular trance medium, and we were staying in what is Spain's version of Area 51, or in my terms, Todmorden, West Yorkshire, because
Yeah. Yeah.
lots of UFO activity.
Yeah.
And I had really turbulent remembering dreams about being in a different dimension. And then one day, somebody came in to visit, and the connection soulmate, not twin flame,
Yeah.
soulmate, but from another dimension.
How interesting.
One I'd been dreaming of, processing somehow. So it's fascinating, you know, when you
Yeah.
start to think about this whole idea of energy. We're not bounded by time, space, even universe. And if we can start to look at our connections with each other from a very different perspective, from energy and essence, and yeah, it's taken me years to kind of get these ideas straight in my head, and I kept
Yeah.
going, that's a load of rubbish, and something would happen and my guides would send me some confirmation, and then I'd get another confirmation, and I think, you know, they want us to start getting that sense that when we put out our low vibrational energy, it's not just this planet, it's not just other people or this planet or this universe. We've got ripples across into
Yeah.
all dimensions that are connected and up into the angelic realm.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because if you think about, I'm going to use the Wiccan read, as above, so below. But
Yes.
flip it, as below, so above.
Yeah.
It's the logic, you
I
know.
was
I
gonna
know
say
people,
that is like, oh yeah, now you've said it, I'm like, oh yeah, well that makes sense, doesn't it? But you
people
don't
say
think
the
it like
first,
that, do you?
oh, they say the first bit, but they don't follow with the second bit. So, in a way, what we're doing is sending a bad smell up.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, and the
Yeah.
angelic realm's going, oh, I wish they'd stop. Yeah.
Get some bloody Febreze down there, will you, on these?
Yeah, exactly. Now, it doesn't taint that world, but they are aware of it, just like we would be aware of, you know, a neighborhood slurry farm
Yeah.
and the smell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, it's no wonder they interact with us and want us to clean up our act, so to
That's
speak.
it, and get ourselves on the higher vibration. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So out of
But
all the sorry, go on.
no, go on.
I was just going to move on a question, but go
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
no,
just going
no.
to say, out of all the angels that you've worked with, do you have one that when you met them, either in meditation or they came to you, that you felt like, now I know this energy from before? Do you have one that you're strongest with, or yes?
I work with Archangel Lucifer.
Oh, dear.
Now, it has always, all my life, puzzled me
Yeah,
why you call an angel the light bringer
yeah,
and then say that this angel is Satan or
yeah.
the devil. I couldn't square that. My 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old brain just couldn't square
Couldn't
that.
understand it.
It really didn't feel right. But that's the way Lucifer's presented. Um, and around 2007, I started off doing trance work and channeling Archangel Michael. Me going, what? Why am I? You know what? Whoa. But it was Archangel Michael. But he wasn't coming in so much to work with me, but to get my energy ready for Lucifer.
Okay.
So not long after I started in trance with Michael, I started picking up other beings. Now they appeared to me as pillars of light. And I actually have a painting that I did because they got me back in my painting. And it's called Pillars of Light. And it's all these gold columns. And they sort of clicked and clicked. But there was one who was very, very strong. One who I knew. One who was so familiar. If anything, I suppose you could say Lucifer's a bit like my twin flame. Yeah. Very,
Right, that's interesting. Yeah.
very strong connection. And I was like, oh, no, angels. Huh. And I'm only here to connect with spirits. What are you lot doing? And this is where my mum helped me, of course, to kind of help me and reassure me that I was meant to work with these beings.
Yeah.
And in fact, I've got a painting behind me. That's the very first painting I did. She's called Seraphina.
Yes.
She's my guardian angel.
Okay.
She appeared, and Mum helped me boost connections and all the rest of it. And I then discovered that there's a band of 12 archangels who are here in the third dimension, like me, fallen from heaven, fallen
Yeah.
to earth, who are busy pumping energy in, busy trying to get us on the right track.
Yeah.
Well, I said, I don't really want to call you Lucifer because it doesn't reflect, it's got a connotation here that doesn't suit people. And he said, right, that's okay. And I experience him as a he, although angels are an it.
Yeah, yeah, they're not gendered, are they?
So he said, well, my actual name, my angelic name is Atelial.
Oh.
I said, right, okay, you'll be Atelial from now on. And then he started sending me, because I'm like, if you're all archangels, prove it, prove
Yeah.
it. And then he started sending me stuff. And this was way before they started being persecuted physically again. But he sent me a Wikipedia. They do it all the time. I'm Googling something and I'm on Wikipedia and it's got information. And it was about a group of Muslims, Islamic worshippers, called the Yazidi. And the Yazidi are shunned by the rest of the Islamic world because instead of putting their faith mainly in Archangel Gabriel, they put their faith in Archangel Lucifer.
Okay.
So they have a slice of the truth that nobody else wants to
Yeah.
accept.
Mm.
And when you try and trace back where the idea of Lucifer being bad came from, it's really interesting. I won't go into it, that's a whole other session. But in the end, I was comfortable because there was this connection. And so the rest of them introduced themselves, and I work with them now. They're my kind of main body of archangels who I work with. Others pop in now and again, but they're the main ones. But the connection with Lucifer is very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And he often laughs with me and says, well, did we fall or were we pushed?
Yeah.
And it's that whole switch it on its head. In all stories, there's a grain of truth, but which is the right grain?
Mm. So do
So
you believe you were pushed, or do you believe that you fell?
I volunteered. They don't really push. I
No,
volunteered,
yeah.
but yeah, with a bit of
Is the
arm twist.
push like a metaphorical like mentor push, like pushing you out of your comfort zone to go do something that they know you'd be good at doing?
It's this will really be for the greater good.
Yes. So you go do it, Anna.
So you do it.
So you do it. Yeah.
Because for the angelic realm, one of their key aspects is to be of unconditional service.
Service, yeah.
So you might have mutterings and rumblings, and there was a lot of muttering and rumblings because they nearly wiped the human beings out because we
Mm.
weren't proving as helpful. The dinosaurs weren't very good. And they thought, Michael certainly thought that that because this project is Lucifer's project.
Okay.
So Michael certainly thought them humans are rubbish. I mean,
Yeah.
after destroyed Atlantis, Michael was all for wiping us out. Pointless experiment. Clean the petri
Really?
dish, start again. Oh yeah, this is, they talk about the war in heaven.
Yeah, this is it.
Well, like heated debate.
Yeah.
Do we keep going with this experiment, or do we just shuffle it off?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we admit dinosaurs no good, human being duality no good, let's go on to try something else?
Yeah.
And Lucifer said, no, we can't do that. And for the greater good, he was told, right, get down there and stay down there. Take your angels with you. So down we all came to
Yeah.
prove that this experiment should continue. To say,
That's fascinating, isn't it?
And of course, one of the issues was, well, you can't, if you're going to do that, you can't be known to the human race. They've got to make it on their own.
Mm.
Which is interesting how Lucifer then becomes a bad person.
Yeah, he's the devil, isn't he? He's the one that's the wrong one, isn't he?
So I had pulled Michael on that. I thought it was a bit mean. Okay, because Lucifer could really help, but what we're
Yeah.
supposed to do is get it together for ourselves. But Metatron got involved, and Melchizedek,
Yes.
you see,
Yes.
we've got the voice of God and the make it so guy getting
Yeah.
involved. And it was sort of, right, if you think they can survive, get on with shepherding. But in the background, you're not allowed to come out.
Because Metatron is he's the guardian of Atlantis, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. But
Yes.
Metatron is the voice of God.
The voice of God, right, okay.
So when God wants to pass anything on, it comes through Metatron.
But when you said God, do you mean like the one from the Bible that were called
So if we
Joseph?
talk about divine consciousness,
Fine. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm with you on that. I want to say I can never believe that it's a man that were called Joseph who lived in Jerusalem and he were a white man and all that. It just doesn't
so
sit well with me at all.
the divine mind, if you like, Metatron is his mouth. He's a
Okay.
neuron. He's one of the neurons operating in the
Yeah,
divine mind.
yeah,
Yeah. Melchizedek, who is Enoch, Melchizedek is the kind of make it so, the action guy.
okay.
Hands of the
Yeah,
divine, if you like. So everything runs through Melchizedek when action is required, because he says, make it so. He
yeah.
gives the order to the angelic realm.
How interesting.
So those two have quite a bit of power. But
Yeah.
again, every single angelic being has to agree.
With each other?
Yes.
Yeah.
For a course of action to happen, it has to have greater good approval.
Okay.
Okay. The divine plan is all about greater good.
Right,
Even
okay,
when
yeah. Absolutely.
even when it goes off plan, like these pesky human beings,
Yeah.
everyone has to agree. So there's a debate, and that's really what the war in heaven was. Very healthy debate, not fighting with swords and flaming swords and throwing angels out of heaven, nothing like that.
So can I just ask you then, like, why have you not done an angelic book with all this information in?
It's on its way.
It's on its way. Right, that's fine.
I've got 4 books to get out this year.
Oh, okay.
So the one that's already written, I've got my Conscious Unity book to explain that. My book to explain the 4 pillars of the angelic realm, how the angelic realm operates. And then there's a book which is about the divine law in action. So how do they interpret, how does it end up. So those books will have quite a chunk of information in, but then there's another book which is all things angelic, if you like.
Yeah.
And as we need to know it, but that's next year.
Yeah. Because I think that a lot of people are trying to find ways now how to raise the vibration. What can I do? And I feel like the angels becoming known to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I just wonder, so if anybody were just thinking, do you know what, I'm desperate to work with angels, or it's really interested me, or anything like that, what source would you give them to look at? Where would you say, right, well, if you go to this book or...
Right. Okay. My suggestion would be to communicate with your guides. I came to my understanding through a lot of breadcrumbs. Like I said to you, that Wikipedia entry I'd never even heard of, and I thought, oh, that's a piece of something he's told me. It's a confirmation. Then I got sent. I actually got hold of a channeled book that was channeled. It'd be about 60, 65, maybe longer years ago now, all about the angelic plan for the human race, if you like. It's not out there in plain sight. What I would say is it's hidden in plain sight.
Yeah, you've got to go looking for it.
And it's got to be need to know. If you need to know it, if you'd honestly, genuinely want to know it, you'll get it.
Okay.
Problem is that we can know it and then do nothing with it. You know, I could publish a book that filled, well, I'd all the stuff I could say that I know. People would read it, but would they put it to any use?
Yeah, that's, yeah.
So they make us work for it, Stacey. They make us work to reconnect to our intuition. They make us work to learn to love ourselves again. They make us work for every piece of information. And they make us decide, is this relevant information or irrelevant? We've got to think. You see, a lot of people just follow blindly.
Yeah.
It's no good.
No.
If you're not thinking, if you're not asking yourself, well, does that make sense to me? Oh, well, why would that be like that? Or
Yeah.
where's the source of this? And if you don't look at the actions, I've heard so many people say all sorts of stuff and then look at what they act and what they do. And I go, well,
It's
yeah,
two totally different things, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, even taken on board.
Yeah.
So for the angels, for us to get into high school, we're going to have to pass our test. And nobody gives you the answers to your O levels or your GCSEs.
We've got to
Instead,
do some revision. Yeah.
work it out for yourself. And that's the key thing. I've been working with Etelio. Well, it'll be nearly 20 years soon. And he's not out there. Are you with me?
Yeah.
I put it out there from time to time. And if you go back on my Facebook, if you go back on the Earth Archangels page that I've got, if you go back, you can see all the bits that I've put out. But I can tell you, the world isn't ready.
No.
People are only just starting to appreciate. Maybe we need to look at the angelic realm differently. Maybe we need to stop thinking of it as the there, it's all right, little
Yeah.
child. We're not children to them.
Mm.
Yeah, maybe we need to get our act together about what we think is divine and what isn't. You know, you look at the stuff that's being done in the name of a god
Mm.
or gods, and you think,
Yeah.
yeah, well, how can we be entrusted with information?
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Can't think it through and use it.
Yeah.
So I've only just got the green light for all of this. You know, I've been sitting on it for years. And it's only just the green light's only just switched on. And that's fine. That's obviously, you know, my bit of service or the continuation of my service.
Yeah.
But it's very much, you cannot lead a horse to water and
No.
expect it to drink.
And expect it to drink. You can't, no.
And the angels know that about us because we're contrary. So they bring it in whichever way is right for each individual. Ask your guides over and over. That is always the answer. Ask your guides, they'll send you what you need. It may not be what I would recommend, but that's my journey because I've done it my way.
That's it. You've done it differently. You've done it your personal way, haven't you?
Sorry, my mum's singing in my ear that Frank Sinatra song. I did it my way.
What's she singing? I say it again. Sorry.
So we've got to maybe recognise that yes, we can seek, but if we're going to find, we've got to make the effort.
Yeah. I've only ever myself had 2 experiences with angels, and they've both been in the state between asleep and awake. You know, where you know you're not asleep, but you know you're not fully awake.
Yeah.
And I remember once being laid on my left side, and I were picturing myself outside my front door as it is now, and I'm walking towards my car. And all of a sudden, in my vision thing, this angel came down and blew in my face. And I actually woke up going, it took my breath away. It blew that, and it woke me up. I sat up because I was like, and that was that. And I was like, what? But I could see it was an angel. It was the strangest thing. And then the other time, I was laid again, going in between, laid on my back. And I'm sorry, angel lady, that is yellow. Jovial. Is it Jovial?
Yeah.
She came down and she sort of hovered here for what seemed like seconds and then walked off, disappeared off. Bye.
So the first one was Gabriel bringing knowledge. Yeah.
Ah.
And your second one was solar plexus, opening up your connection. That's what Jophiel zoomed in for.
That's interesting.
Okay. So you need Gabriel's of wisdom, and you need the solar plexus because until we are thinking about angels, they're all around us.
Yeah.
You know, until we're thinking about them, we don't connect with them. And then when we open the connection, they can start working with us. And what you'll find is that the angels you work with first are the angels that are all still in the angelic realm. So they're beaming their energy into this dimension from the angelic realm. So they're stepping down the vibration. We can't tolerate full-on angelic energy.
No.
High enough. But what they'll do is they'll beam it into you to start you working on that self-love, to start you working on that connection and getting your guides in place. And then when you get to the right vibration, Ethereal and his band will start working with you because their energy is here in 3D. They're existing as energy beings here in the 3rd dimension. They're not up in the angelic realm. Remember, that was their punishment or reward. I'm not sure which they think it is. So they can blast through with more high vibration energy. They're still connected to the angelic realm. They're pulling energy from the angelic realm, but they're blasting you. So it's up close and personal.
Yeah.
So when you get to the right level, and they usually start, Ethereal is the archangel of love. So usually you'll start needing to love yourself more when Ethereal's. The second archangel who tends to work with us at the beginning is Archangel Parashiel. He's the archangel of healing, all the healing done on the planet. So you'll start to want to experience healing, whatever form that takes for you, energy healing. And then we get Archangel Darashiel. Darashiel is called the Watcher. He's the archangel who's involved with all of our emotions. So Parashiel helps you to love, healing, and getting a grip of your emotions. And they work together, that set of three, because they all work in sets of three. They work together to get us open, active, intuitive, healing, and getting back in control of what we feel. In charge. Sorry, not in control. Interracial telling me off. In charge.
You mean told off at time?
Oh, yeah. If I use the wrong word, he's here to help us take charge. Okay. So when we work with them and they've got us sorted a bit, then the others step in, because they all have responsibility. So, for instance, past lives come under Archangel Cameliel.
Okay.
She's the librarian.
Yeah.
So she's got all the access to the Akashic record. She's got all the access to the multi-dimensional records, and she starts to help you to put those pieces together. Okay, different, all sorts of different aspects. So they gradually put the energies through, get us to work on stuff, get us to raise our vibration until we're ready to work with them all as a team and to start passing those energies out to others. Because that's the end result. What they want is people who can transfer the energies outward.
Yeah.
And be
Annie, it's been amazing talking to you today. Honestly, you amaze me every time I talk to you. I think, I don't know how you know. How does it stay in? How do you know all this stuff?
It's been there a long time.
No, but how does it stay there? You must have a massive like memory recall. There were a word you used there, and I thought, oh, I'll ask you about that after, and it's gone already. You've used some words today. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I've no idea, but I can tell what it means by the time you finish talking. I'm like, all right, I get it now. Yeah, but I just find you fascinating. I do, honestly.
Well, this is the point of doing your past life work, because that's in 8th chakra. When you open 8th chakra, you open all this information up.
Yes.
I don't have to have it in my conscious mind. It'll drop in.
It'll drop in as and when.
Yeah. And don't forget, I've got a whole load of guides in the room who are busy making sure I say it right.
Say it properly. I need angel of remembering. Yeah. Bring her in. Oh, Annie, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
I've loved it. Thank you, Stacey. You know, I took the hind legs off a donkey, but I love that people want to know, because that's I've got it. I'm happy to share it. You know, yeah.
So when your new book comes out, where can we buy it from?
I will have, if you want a signed copy, I'll have copies that I can post out to people, and I'll be popping it on my Facebook. I've got a new website under construction, so it'll also be through the website, and I've got an online shop, so it'll be through there as well. It'll also be available in this country on Amazon and Amazon Australia. Usually it goes on. I think it does it go on? It goes on the English-speaking Amazons in the different countries. Yeah. And it'll also be in Barnes and Noble in America.
Barnes and Noble. It sounds fantastic, doesn't it?
Yeah. So it'll go all those routes. And yeah, like I say, people can purchase from me for a signed copy. Yeah. I'll probably once I've got the actual printed proof that I've got to read. Once I've got that, I'll start letting people know where they can pre-order.
Yes.
And can I just say, if anybody's interested in inspired writing, channeled writing, automatic writing, I'm running a little workshop in Hebden Bridge on the 18th of May. Let me just double check that date because I've had a blast of energy last night that's scrambled my brain. Yes, Sunday the 18th of May, 11 while 3 p.m. And it's inspired to write. What I try and encourage people to do, if they kind of, I don't know how to make contact with guides or whatever, writing's often a good way to start getting inspiration and channeling from. And I do cover automatic writing as well, because that's a slightly different thing. So 11 while 3, and it's £30 if anybody's interested.
Bloody, I was going to say it's bloody for note, that, Annie. 4 bloody hours, it's for note, isn't it?
I know, but I just like to get people switched on, you know me.
I know exactly what you mean.
The more I can put something in front of people that might switch them on and get them on that seeking journey, the better.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So if anybody wants it, just message you directly and you'll book them on.
Yeah, just if you Google me, you'll find me all over the place, and just send me a message and I can get people booked in. And of course, I've got my studio in Kakubri in Scotland at the old library studios.
Can people visit you at your studio?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, can they?
If anybody wants to pop in, the only thing is just give me a shout. Am I there? Because sometimes I'm down in Halifax, or when I've got church services and things. So people just give me a shout. They're more than welcome to come in and see me. Have a cup of tea.
Have a cup of tea.
And I usually have biscuits.
Oh, you're a spoiler, you, Anthony.
Anthony?
Who the bloody hell's Anthony?
Probably a past life of mine somewhere, lingering around.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. You see, your little old terrier.
Yeah.
So that's fabulous. So 18th of May, there's the workshop. And if anybody's in Kakubri, give you a call and pop in and have tea and biscuits.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, fabulous. Right, thank you very much, Annie. You've been an absolute star. And I'll definitely have you back, because we never have enough time. We could do a week's worth of chatting with you.
Oh, sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I love it. I'm here for it, me, Annie. I love it.
Well, thank you, Stacey. I always love chatting to you anyway. It's really great. It's been
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Speak to you next time.